Operation Desert Storm.
I heard of both of those actually.
Yeah, we never left.
No, we never did. We never stopped bombing them either.
No. Yeah, like I didn't even know we had that. How many troops do we have? My God.
Well, explains why they're trying to recruit you.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Britt
We
today.
have an update on that.
Yeah, literally today, I got a call from an Army recruiter trying to recruit me into the Army, and he called me up and like I answered the phone and he's like, "Is Ryan Young there?" And I was like, "No," and he was like, "What are you, his brother?" And I was like, yeah, sure. And like, so he just starts asking me all these questions. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm going to school. And he's like, what for? And I was like, video production. And he was like, what if I could tell you that you could go, you get a job at the Army doing video production and I would pay for your college, or the Army would pay for your college, what would you say? And I was like, still don't want to join the Army. Like, I just kept saying no to him and he just kept trying. He's like, really, you don't want to join the Army? And I was like, no, I do not want to join the Army. And like, at one point I was just like, I don't.
A small part of every man who wants to join the Army.
At one
you
point
just
too, like,
to that.
and this will come across as a little paranoid, but at one point I did say something like, I was just like, no, I was just like, like my views, my like political views, like I would never like join the Army or whatever. And like I almost just went into it with him, like right there on the phone, but like I was just excellent. Like, I'm a little afraid to do that. Like I don't want to, How
about I don't want to be a hired killer?
Yeah, well, exactly. Like I was gonna get into that, and like
it's like I don't. This when you watch Star Wars, do you sympathize more with the rebels or the stormtroopers?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're the stormtroopers. I mean, silly.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I didn't want to get, or like even like I don't know this guy. This guy could have no idea what's really going on. Like he could have never been to Iraq. He could just be some shill behind a desk, and to start like calling him a baby murderer, and he's just like, yo, I live in New Jersey, and
he's wearing the uniform of baby murderers.
That's true.
Right, because even if you went over there and did video production, or if you went over,
well, and that's I was gonna say like, no, I don't want to make propaganda films.
Yeah, what exactly are you gonna film?
Yeah,
no, I don't want to film beheadings for the CIA. That get blamed on fake terrorists.
Oh, it's no propaganda. It's just training. Did you ever want to know how to get an Iraqi in a headlock? And
those absurd commercials with like Marines slaying like lava monsters. Yeah. I'm like, where are they sending these people to Middle Earth? Like, what's going on?
You might hallucinate about slaying the lava monster after you get your legs blown off from an IED. Who knows what goes through your head at that point?
Yeah.
I have nothing nice to say about the military.
No,
I'm sorry, but I'm completely in line with Bill Hicks. You're a hired killer if you join the Army or the Navy or the Marines. You're a hired killer. You're going to kill strangers that you have nothing to personally gain from except
a paycheck or college tuition.
So you're directly acknowledging, I don't really care about this war. I don't really give a shit, but I will get some money for doing this.
Okay, wait,
well, that's called a mercenary.
Yeah,
this is all part of the brainwashing works. It's a psychological thing. These people are good intentioned, believing that they're protecting the homeland.
Right.
What do you say to that?
Which is why the 9/11 myth is so vitally important to the New World Order, because without that illusion that you're defending this place, the only thing left is to come to terms with you're aiding the destruction of the United States of America.
Yeah.
And the brainwashing goes so deep. If you say that to any one of them, they get really defensive. They're like, "Are you kidding me? You mean that like there's no threats all around us?"
Imagine that.
China ones, and they just start naming all.
Yeah, because these people over there, throwing dogs off the cliffs and like shooting people,
so
innocent people,
puppies.
It's like, exactly. Like that's defending my freedom to say this right now. Killing puppies and innocent people and like all and being bored assholes over there. That's defending my freedom right now. Like what?
Blowing up babies and women is not protecting my freedom.
Yeah, exactly.
No, what we're doing right now with what us three assholes are doing right now is doing more to protect freedom than any bullet that's ever been fired in the middle of Iraq.
Absolutely.
Because what we're doing is, get this, exercising our First Amendment rights. Do you ever think of that? Do you ever think of using the rights that you pretend to be defending all the fucking time?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're doing, friends.
All right. Well, what do you got there?
你好，请问你叫什么名字？我的英文名字 Michael Britt。
This is really Chinese, by the way.
和我的中文名字温博。请问您贵姓什么？
No.
But she crossed out Shenma, so I guess I'm not supposed to say that.
Shenma?
Shenma.
Ciao.
Let's go to some music.
All right. Before we go to that, no, I'll tell you guys afterwards. I was telling Lou about it earlier. I got a hilarious story, a local New Jersey story about what the head of like the New Jersey Teachers Union said about the governor. It's
Love
pretty
them local
hilarious.
New Jersey stories.
Yeah. It's just hilarious. When I read it, I laughed literally out loud. I LOL'd.
All right, let's rock out a little bit.
All right, music time.
City scene on the roof, made of choice, grain and hops, throwing shouts down over the edge to the ground at crooked cops. But as morning breaks in New Jersey, start to realize we might not have made it from the end of 39, though. Thank God that we city scene on the roof, made of choice, green hops, throwing shouts down over the edge to the ground at crooked cops. But as morning breaks in New Jersey, start to realize we might not have made it from the
What about Ron Paul?
Yeah.
I'm not willing to give up. I don't think that's the answer. I don't think turning hightail and running from these criminals is that. This country made its mark on the earth by digging its heels into the ground and saying, you know what, fuck you.
Yeah.
I think we're about to say, I think that's what we need to say again. We need to turn to these tyrants and say, hey, don't tread on me.
Yeah.
You know, running away, that's sort of indicating they have treaded on you. They treaded on you so much that you need to run to China. And that's exactly what I'm fighting against. They're not going to take my country from me. They'll have to pry my country out of my cold, dead hands, put it that way. And that's not a threat towards violence. That means that you will have to inflict violence upon me.
Exactly.
If you think you're going to turn my beloved United States of America into fucking China or to some other dictator fucking tyranny. I mean, not that we're not already a tyranny, but you know,
no. Yeah, I know what you mean. But what do you say? What would you say to a person who said, like, well, what's the big deal? One world government sounds pretty good to me. Like, what
I'd
would
say
you say?
that's cool that you moved out of the country. What about all the family you left behind? Do you not care about them? Do you not care about when they're bustled into a FEMA camp and killed? Because that's what will happen to your family. My family's here. My bloodline is here. My history on this planet as part of the human species went from Italy to America, and that's where we are. That's where my beloved ones are. And I'm going to fight tooth and nail to try to wake them up out of their slumber. Because I do view them as slaves. 3 years ago at this point, I was dead asleep, not awake to the reality of what's going on. And I do have faith in people I know. And like this goes back to what you said about how you're not as optimistic as I am. Which is fine, but I do have faith in people. I do feel that it only takes simply wording something in the appropriate way to sort of make the truth hit home to certain people, to wake them up. It really is that simple.
That's it. You just got to get that thing.
Yeah, it's not a disposable metaphor when you say people are sleeping. They are asleep, and they literally need to have their eyes pried open.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it just takes that. You got to just keep trying and find that one thing that's gonna hit them. Where they live.
Because guess what, dude? I'd be sitting here right with you 2.5 years ago and talking to you about the dangers of Al Qaeda and why there is admirable things about joining the banker-funded army.
Right.
You know.
The way I see it is, where we are right now is very similar to how the mass media would portray living in Mexico. And I am picking up some of my shit and I'm going to go to America and get a job, send some money back home. Because if an American goes to China, he can make a lot of money, relatively speaking, because I'm going to make about 6,000 yuan a month, and because of how
Well, we owe them all this money anyway, so it's kind of like
What is the what does the Chinese government have to say about freedom of speech? Will you have that when you are there?